Hola geeks, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos a un nuevo episodio de Ggpodcast, un proyecto de Geek Girls MX. Geek Girls MX es una comunidad creada por mujeres que buscan hacer de su pasión un proyecto de vida. Yo soy Yani, hoy está de co-host Verónica y de invitada tenemos a Akanksha. Bueno, ya la presentaremos como se debe, pero antes de iniciar con nuestro episodio, queremos agradecer a nuestros patrocinadores. Gracias Soho, gracias RSS, son de gran ayuda para poder realizar este proyecto, pero sobre todo gracias a ustedes que nos acompañan semana tras semana escuchando y viendo este episodio. De verdad, saben que lo hacemos con mucho cariño y pues con ninguna otra intención más de que compartir nuestras experiencias y las experiencias de nuestras invitadas. Pero bueno, entonces, para ya no seguirle dando vueltas e ir directo al grano, vamos a iniciar con nuestra entrevista. Hay un pequeño detalle, pequeño nada más. La entrevista es en inglés, so you have to practice your English. Let's do this, guys.
Ya, ¿cómo está comunidad? Ya nos habíamos aventado un capítulo antes en inglés, entonces está perfecto para seguir practicando. Yani, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do this then.
Let's do this.
So, hacemos el switch. So today we're happy to have a conversation with Akanksha Gupta, engineering manager at Robinhood. She is software engineering manager, managing full stack teams, owning back end and front end at Robinhood. She is involved with building products that touch customer lives and provides a better trading experience to them. Prior to Robinhood, she has worked with Audible, which is a company from Amazon, and Microsoft. Strong skills in leadership, agile development, problem solving, interview coaching skills, and she loves coding, especially automation. Welcome, Akanksha.
Thank you so much, Akanksha. Yep. Yeah, welcome, Akanksha. Thank you for joining us in this episode. Well, we are going to start, and the first question is, we are going to talk about success. So tell us, what means success for you?
Yep, that's a great question to start this conversation. So I think for me, success can have different meanings, right? What success means to me can be different, in terms of what success might mean to you or our peers. So I think personally for me, success is to enjoy my day job, because that's where I'm spending close to like 8 to 10 hours of my work. And if I can enjoy that, then it's like I'm not working anymore. So that's like my definition of success. But to get there, it's not going to happen in an overnight, right? So there's like a whole journey that I have to go through to really get to the pinnacle or the point where I feel that yes, this is success. And in this process, it helps me just to understand, prioritize what is important for me, right? Like, there are 10 things in front, prioritize what's like that 1, 2, 3, top 3 things that I need, to be happy, to feel that, that I'm successful. And another thing that I have seen personally in my life is that success is like a moving point, right? When I was in grad school, success to me meant was like, getting good grades, enjoying and doing like best, like top computer science projects. Today, being a woman in tech, success is like, enjoying my day job, coming happy after work back to my family. So yeah, I think that's success for me.
Good. Totally agree with you.
Yeah, and it's amazing because sometimes you kind of think of success of a whole thing, like involves your personal life, work, probably your social relations, but also I think that we need to measure success day by day. Like, what did I accomplish today that was actually very well? And I think this kind of completes this circle that at the end of the day, it's just going to leave you with a very good feeling inside, right?
Yep, absolutely, Veronica. Very well put. Yep.
So I have another question. So when was exactly that you made the decision of becoming tech woman? Like who inspired or what inspired you to become one?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll go back, a lot of years to, tell you where it all started. So since childhood, I was, always, fascinated with science and technology, reading books and whatnot. And then I remember in fourth grade, my dad got me like a computer. That was the first time when, I was exposed to it. So just like any other child, my first instinct was to, make use of computer to play games like, Dave, Mario at that time. And then, with repeated reminders from my father, like, hey, try to make the good use of it. I started exploring, so started very basics. There used to be like a logo language, just to play around. And then eventually I, graduated to using C++. So, that was like my initial journey. So my dad introduced me to the world of computers. Um, and then, but he always wanted me to be a doctor. And, I come from India where, like by your high school, you should literally, have your ambitions or your career, like set in stone that either you're going to be an engineer, teacher, doctor, or what so I had to like talk to my parents to make sure, hey, engineering or computers is what, I want to go with. And then, that's where my journey began. So next steps was to, do my undergrad in computer science. And, then I joined Microsoft. That was, like a campus placement from my undergrad college. So worked there for a few years on, some interesting projects. One thing that always stuck with me was like the people aspect of the job, right? So
Okay.
computers, great, but I always, recognized or acknowledged like, the people around me, right? Like helping, mentor, coach them. But so, that definitely strike the idea of management. But at
Mhm.
that time, it was kind of too early to take that call. So then, I decided to, pursue my master's, and that's how I came to United States, to pursue my master's at Columbia University, New York. And once the technical foundation was strong, I joined Audible, which is an Amazon company that introduced me to the whole world of audiobooks. And eventually when I felt that the time is right, I spoke with my manager, suggested them that I'm interested to move into management, worked out like a 3-month plan with him, and, slowly and steadily did the transition. So kind of, making sure I'm well prepared, in terms of what I'm signing up for.
Mhm.
Yep. And so, yeah, eventually, I moved to management, always, being a tech in women, but, moved to like the tech management side of it. And I started loving my job more. So, yeah, I don't regret at all.
So when you start your career, it looks like the same that it is right now? Or what is the difference between the beginning and now? But because sometimes when you decide something, you have an idea, but it's not exactly the idea. So
Yes.
in your case, it's very, very different.
Yeah. So I think like initially when I started, I was an individual contributor, right? Like I could, sit, do the coding, see the magic happening on my laptop, and, that was good, good enough. Um, Eventually when I just shifted to management, it was completely reverse in the sense that I had to get away from the doer mentality myself, and think about growing teams, trusting
De-
others around me, and
delegate.
delegation, the power of
Delegate.
delegation,
Yeah.
absolutely. um, so had to learn through that. And like, to be really frank, in the start, that was not easy, right? Doing that transition, it takes time, because like your whole sense of how you quantify your impact changes, right?
Yeah.
So it was a journey that I had to go through. And I think like my managers, my mentors at that time were super supportive, where I could talk to them, think about how to delegate, what to delegate, come up with a plan, try out few things, iterate on them to, finally understand, what works, what doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. What was your biggest struggle in while you were changing from doing to delegating? Like, what was the hardest thing that you
Yeah,
had to
I
overcome?
think, I think the hardest thing was more awareness, right? Like, in the sense that when you were like in the doing mentality, I knew that, okay, at the end of the day, I shipped, X lines of code and that's my impact, right? When you become a manager, it's more of like, a team's impact, like you are helping your team grow. So you're
Mm-hmm.
always looking for, career opportunities or anything for your team, you put your team before you. And so that I think it was more of like a mindset change, and understanding, how, like how things have shifted, like, just going through that was, I think, the initial challenging thing. And then once you understand the power of delegation, understanding, okay, what is this what tasks can be delegated, right? So as a simple example, you can't delegate anything and everything, right? You have to make sure that what you are delegating also is more of, also can map to like the career growth of that individual or that engineer, right? So like make understanding that, art basically, I would say, was something that was, an interesting journey to, go through.
Okay. So, what do you think that it takes to be a successful leader? Like, what would be the main ingredient on a person to be a successful leader?
Okay, so I think to be a successful leader, I think, there are two main ingredients in my philosophy. I think first is leading by example. So when you are a leader, people around you are, looking at you, taking cues from you. So it's very important, how you project yourself, and what actions you do, right? So I'll share one of my personal example here, that there was a time at my previous company where my team was supposed to deliver a project in like building a service completely on native AWS. And at that time the team did not have the skill set. So next step was to build on that skill set and understand what we are signing up for. So what I did was I went ahead and AWS is basically also has like certifications. You can do developer, professional, different sort of certifications. So I spent few months to go through it, and myself did like the AWS certification. And once I was certified, that is when in my one-on-one conversations with my team members, I was talking to them and like connecting that as like a smart goal with them in their career document. So um, and it wasn't like at that time, it wasn't like I was just talking in the air that, hey, you should do that.
Mhm.
I had gone through that journey, and I could share those learnings and experiences. So
Yeah.
I think it's very important to like show what and this also builds like trust with your team members, and I think
Mhm.
that's why it's really important.
Mhm.
And I think the other ingredient I feel is definitely empathy as a leader. It's super important to empathize and recognize people around you. um, and because individually you're not a leader, right? Like you are a leader if you have a team with you, and people who are ready to who believe in the mission, or like the values as you. So
Mhm.
um, and overall it helps with um, like you can do small gestures, like something that I have done is, let's say an engineer does a great job, I would send like shout outs in the Slack groups, right? So these are like small gestures to recognize the work and make them feel belonged to the place.
Mhm. Yeah, and appreciate it that the work actually is adding to the project, right? That makes
Absolutely.
sense.
And talking about skills, what kind of skills you have to develop? What kind of skill do you think you have already, but what are others you have to develop?
So I think one of the skill that I had to develop, I'll answer that first because, one of the skill, as I said, was the power of delegation, right? Like delegation was something I had to learn on the go. And that was like, a good amount of journey where I had to put in hard work, work out a plan with my manager. So that was something that, I had to learn in terms of, you know, um, some habits that I have that have kind of helped me. I think one is like being organized. So I'm a person, who gets up in the morning, will have a to-do list broken down into, professional, personal, because, in the end you have to run the house, right? You'll have your personal chores. So, you know, like I have a to-do list. My calendar is completely, up to date in terms of, like what time are my meetings, um, and making sure, there's a plan for it. If there is a meeting I cannot attend, I would proactively, just decline and send a reason. That way, nobody's like sitting blocked on, my presence in the meeting. So that kind of really helps me. On Sundays I review my emails for the whole week, so just to get a head start to the week. So organization has really helped me, in the way that I don't have to spend time in finding, okay, what to focus on. Like I can directly go to things that need my immediate attention.
Mm.
And I think the other thing that has helped me is, introspecting at the end of the day, right? Like, what did I do? Anything I could have done better? Identifying any weaknesses or anything, that could have been done a little different. This is usually like 5 minutes reminder I have on my calendar, at the end of the day. And, just helps me to be more, more of a self-aware person.
Yeah. It looks like Veronica and you have something in common. But let me ask you something. Sometimes you can be in total control, right? Sometimes things came without any kind of, and how do you say, aviso?
Like in a
Like non-announced.
Yes,
yeah,
like not announced. So how do you deal with these kind of things, the things that you can control?
absolutely. So, and by the way, this happens almost like, every few days. So, it's not a surprise. So I think, ad hoc tasks do come in. Being organized really helps because you have a plan in place. Now this ad hoc things comes in. Here you use the power of, like prioritizing, right? Um, what obviously it's like a zero sum game, right? If a new thing has to enter, something is, you have to give off of something, right? So it's all about prioritizing, just looking at what is important, what's the amount of time you need to spend, and just like reprioritizing your day. And obviously there can be things that will carry over to the next day or something like that, but always having a plan in your head, at least like helps me stay calm, even with like 10 things in my to do which are pending at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that, like adding a little bit to your explanation, it's kind of like not losing sight of what needs to be done during the week. Maybe you had programmed it to do Monday, but for some reason, some extra tasks came in and were more important than that one. But you know that at the end of the week, you'll get through it, right? So at least you don't forget about it. So that's kind of like, I do the same thing. Like I finish my day at work and I leave ready my to-do list for next day. So next day, once I arrive, I'm not asking myself, so what did I do yesterday? No, I mean, I know exactly what I did the day before, and I know what I'm going to do that next day. And yes, sometimes I do end up doing some of the tasks at the end of the week because of that. But yeah, at least I know I'm advancing day by day instead of just, like coming up to my computer and like, where was I now? Yeah. So there was another question, right, Annie, you were going to ask?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, actually.
Okay, I'll do it then. Because you already asked about the skills. So
yes.
From your experience, how do you think technology help us get the job of our dreams? Because we know we have like a lot of women out there that might be thinking of a special thing that they could be, they're like totally geek of that specific topic. But how do you think that technology embraces all these different dreams to make them come true?
Yep. So I think I strongly feel that, technology does have their hands in, helping us land into a job of our dreams, right? Be it any sector, like we're not just talking about science here, be it arts, finance, anything and everything, I would say. So I think, few things you are, starting from, there are several learning courses today out there, right? We have Coursera, we have YouTube, which is like, before, starting this podcast, I was watching a YouTube video on some cooking thing, right? So, so there's Coursera, YouTube, LinkedIn Learning, that can be very useful. And you don't have to have these as instructor-led programs, like you can do them at your self-pace. So I think, technology really helps us to not just learn a new skill and, continuously upskill ourselves. So, that's very important. There are several universities that provide like, distance learning programs. So, that could be useful for anybody who's thinking to, start a career. And study groups or platforms like, of course, Geek Girls, Women in Tech really bring, the power of, networking, collaboration, hear, similar stories and, learn from each other. I think, especially with these pandemic times, technology has shown that, you don't have to be present, physically to learn something, right? Like, it just changed the whole mindset, how sitting at homes we can connect and like still progress in life. And yeah, I think like similarly for somebody looking for career in finance, companies like Robinhood, where I work, they are being trailblazers in helping new investors to learn about finance. Like it's a completely if you think a few years back, finance was not something that was for everyone, especially women. It wasn't related to the women, and now like you can get the same amount of exposure, learn, and like get into anything. So I think overall technology is playing a key role, removing the whole distances of geographies and like helping us with whatever job that we want to pursue or a skill.
Okay.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I have a question like for both, because I mean, technology is wonderful. I have like this little story before I ask the question. Like, I remember the first time I got a TV in my room. I was very young, and it was a black and white TV. Don't ask me my age, but it was a black and white TV. Okay. So I remember having the TV in front of my bed, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I just have this whole new world just in front of me, and I could just, enjoy it directly from my bed. And back then, I mean, we would see the content that others decided we should look at, right? Because it was like open TV. It wasn't like right now, Netflix or any other project where you decide what content you want to see. Yep. So then when I finally got my laptop, it was like, wow. It was just like my head, like exploded, because I realized, and with internet, because first we had the computer, but we didn't have internet connection. And then we had internet. And I'm like, oh my God, there's all these tools, all these platforms. I mean, you can actually make the dream of your job come true. You don't need, like, if you want to make your own book, you don't need to go to an editorial to see if they accept your idea. you can just do it and go inside a community and, you know, start talking about it, and you never know, it might become successful. Or you can create your own comics or your own videos, you know, like YouTube, and gave us all these ideas of what you can do and how can you become famous. At the end, the important thing is the content must be made with a lot of quality. That's the truth. Like, so you do need to keep learning more things. You do need to keep in contact with people that are professionals and know about certain things. So now the question, I mean, I kind of gave in the insight of all the things that you can actually do, right? And all the access. So you can be connected 24/7. So the thing is, how much time should you invest in your dream job versus your life offline? So this is a question for you, Akanksha.
Actually, this is my next question, because we were talking about a lot of, we were talking about job and all these things, but we need time to live, right? To get alive. So how do you get the balance between job and your daily life?
Yeah. And I think, like, thank you for asking this question, because this is a question that is so personal to me, because my husband is also in tech. And so there are times when we both are like super busy with our work schedules, and like, like the conversation ends up being like, who's cooking the dinner, right? Like we're just sitting. And so yeah, like, it's really, really important to, maintain that, like a work-life balance in general. And so, like taking just a step back, like as you grow in your career, right, uh, there will be times when, you're just like, your responsibilities will continue to grow, like personal life, professional life, and sometimes they'll just outgrow, right? So you have to, find that sweet spot or balance, to, like, yeah, stay calm and, like enjoy your life, as you said. So I think, one thing, as I said, like being organized really helps, right? You need to have a schedule, right? Like, hey, this is the time I start my day, this is the time, I should, you know like have this list, go through this list, and, try to, cut off, um to keep sane, taking like frequent breaks in the middle. So, one thing that I've been doing is I schedule all my meetings, instead of like a 30-minute slot, like, like a 25-minute slot. That way there's like a 5-minute, break between, all my meetings. So that's just, a good time to get like a breather, use, get water, restroom break, or something like that. The other important thing is to, disconnect from work. So, with all of us working from home during pandemic, it's like, we are in front of our laptops all this time. So it's like I try to make it a rule that, hey, by 5:36, even if, my to-do list continues, like, disconnecting completely, and then maybe I can log back in after, few hours when I've had dinner or spend time, with family, to, kind of check back my emails. But, it's important to disconnect. And
Yes.
I think other thing is, like caring for self. So like, in this busy time, we forget about finding time for ourselves. So, like spending, like I like to, work out. So usually I, work out in the morning. And if any day my schedule doesn't allow, then, in the evening I'll go out for a walk or something. So these are like small things that, you kind of have to do to maintain your work life balance. And I think one tip that I got from one of my mentors was that you are in control of your calendar. So like, if like, let's say you need to have lunch, right? Don't give the authority to others to, like put meetings on that. Like, have a block of 30 minutes on your calendar which says like a lunch block, right? So in the end, I think you are in the driving seat. So control your calendar. It's on you how you want to maintain that work life balance. Yeah, that's what I would say.
So in your calendar, in your daily routine, you have these moments for yourself?
Yes. So like I eat early, a lunch. So like 11:30 to 12 is blocked, 5 days a week with a block that says lunch, do not block.
Okay.
Yeah.
Including maybe exercise or go to the park or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. So workout is usually in the morning. Yep. So I have all these blocks. It acts as a reminder as well that I need to do these things first of all every day, as a notification. And at the same time, it just helps others to also know that there are time blocks. Obviously, if it's an emergency or like a fire in the company, then sure, that we're not going to meet.
Yeah.
But and if you set that example, as I said, like it's really important to lead by example, right? So if I do that, it helps my team members to understand that, build that trust that, okay, we acknowledge each other's time and space. So I remember, in my previous team, one of the team member just had a baby, and like they could only work, they couldn't work in the daytime, so they used to work in the evening, right? So we tried to make sure that we can have our overlapping meetings at a common time, but give them their own sweet space. So all these small gestures really help. All these, like if you think about it, all these dots will connect, right? Like leading by example, empathy. So
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
Yanni, what do you do to maintain that balance in your life?
Well, I ask you because actually you give me a calendar, an agenda. This is the first time I have one because I used to have everything in my head. So this is the first time I'm trying to write in everything. So, but I don't write the things the things that I do for myself in this calendar. So I think I should. But for example, in my case, I like to do yoga and meditating and all these things is the first thing that I do when I get up in the morning. So, but I don't write it on the calendar, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah, you can write it on the calendar, and there's a mode that says private, so it will not show what it has, right? It will show like as busy. That's it. So you can play around with your calendar if you just need blocks for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
and I
good.
think it's very healthy. So yeah, we have to start doing that. Like block, not regret, because I feel like sometimes people that like to work a lot, and suddenly you feel guilty if you give yourself some space, right? But the truth is that sometimes you're so tired or you were so into some task that, to be honest, you're not working as well as if you just took maybe a 10-minute nap, just disconnect and reboot, right? And reboot again. And you'll probably be more productive after that. And we need to listen to our body and to even our minds, so this can keep, moving smooth. So I have another question.
Yes.
Why should women be together or work together? Or
Good
collaborate?
question.
Yeah, good one. So I think, and like this thing reminds me of like a fairy tale we used to read back in India, in a story where like there used to be a farmer. He's giving advice to his three sons who used to like always fight, that if you are divided among yourselves, you will be no stronger than a single stick in the bundle, right? So basically, together you're stronger. Individually, like you're easy to break, right? So um as myself, like a women advocate of women in tech, I feel we exercise more power if we are together, be it as a community or at like at workplace, so it's always really good. And like I would say personally, I have had women managers who have been allies for me. They've coached and mentored me, and have definitely shown that, like I have their back. And that really helped me to, in my career advancement. So I think that's what I would say, that it's very important. And when I'm saying that, it's important for women to be together, there are various ways to for us to be together, right? There, as I said, there can be women in tech groups at workplace. We can help each other by coaching, mentoring. There are several platforms that provide that. um, you know geek girls, like getting together, learning from each other, upskilling ourselves. And obviously, spending time mentoring and, like guiding really helps. And together it will be like a multiplier effect, right? So one teaches two, two teaches four, so like we can spread out and, like be a community. um, so I think, yeah, like focusing on the collaboration piece instead of thinking about competition among ourselves. I think
Good
that
point.
that's like the key. So yeah.
Yeah, totally agree with that, because in this community, that's something that we try to change. The mindset that women are competitive. No, we like to be together. We like to construct together. And well, I think it's something that works very good in this community. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, we like connecting good women to other women. And just like once we said once, like sometimes they're like very great projects and they don't grow because nobody knows them. So another way of helping is, that's why we like to use the hashtag sharing is caring, because sometimes you may not be the final buyer or whoever's going to connect with that project, but perhaps if you shared something, it might reach out to the person that precisely needs that service product or connecting with that woman talent. So yes, it's amazing what women have been accomplishing lately. And I just see that this is going to get stronger. So it's going to be amazing.
Yes, completely agree.
Yes, yes. Well, we are almost in the end of this
So
conversation,
fast.
so yeah, it's going too fast. But for before we end with this meeting, would you like to say some advice or comment for the women that are listening?
Yeah, I think one, like 2 cents, or like 2 cents of advice from my end would be that try to find like a mentor or sponsor in your life. Personally, for me, that really helped, being a women in tech. Finding a mentor, and that can be like your immediate manager, some senior friend that from college, or like connecting through these communities like women in tech, geeks girl, somebody you want to be like. And I think like this will like having a mentor or sponsor can be like your sounding board, right? So let's say you have few ideas or thoughts about career, personal, professional, use that opportunity to share, talk through. Sometimes it's just talking through somebody, you just figure out in your head, okay, that's what I want to do, right? So I think, yeah, that would be my piece of advice, that always have somebody you can reach out to, discuss, and get some guidance. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Akanksha, for sharing today this moment with us and sharing all your ideas. I'm sure that you're going to inspire more women with your story, and perhaps a lot of more women will start using calendars and blocking those those times for, just to expand a little bit and relax and everything. So could you please share with us your social networks and where can people contact you?
Sure. Yeah, people can contact me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active at. So I'll be sharing the link, and feel free to share it with the broader community.
Yes, sure. We are going to put it on the description, and you just have to send us the link, and we're going to put it on the description. So, well, this is the end. sadly, but this is the end. Thank you both of you to join us in this episode. I'm going to start to talk in Spanish to say goodbye for all the community. So, gracias a todos los que nos acompañaron en este episodio. Recuerden que nos pueden seguir en todas nuestras redes sociales. Estamos como Geek Girls MX. Estamos muy contentos de estar de vuelta en esta tercera temporada. Tenemos muchas cosas padrísimas para compartir con ustedes. Y pues nada, nuestro episodio ha terminado. Nos vemos el siguiente miércoles. Y pues nada, gracias. Bye bye.
Gracias, Geeks. Nos vemos.